Hello everyone, in today's video I will be guiding you all through how you can clear the easy, normal and hard mode in the new version of the Gold Wave event, with as many points as possible. Anyways, let's start by going through the easy mode. So the easy mode really isn't that difficult to clear, and I know that almost any player with any skill could most definitely make it. In this video I'm only going to be covering this specific deck that I'm playing right here, simply as easy mode really isn't a stage that you're gonna wanna focus on if you're going to be grinding for the points. Easy mode should in my opinion only be cleared so you can unlock the normal mode stage, which comes immediately after, in case you don't have that high dice classes. But sticking to stage 1, all you really need to do while playing this mode is simply making a deck surrounding soul dice. I did try a few different decks and dices when playing this mode, but I found that soul was the very much easiest one, simply as it doesn't require that much skill and it pretty much does everything by itself. I suggest playing it on scope board with lunar. The reason for this being that when you send all the monsters, you might not be able to kill them in time in case there's a boss coming right after. So you really just want to set up a soul dice on a scope spot and put a high pip lunar next to it. You can see right here what my final setup looks like, and this clears the waves without any problem whatsoever. Moving on to stage 2, aka normal mode. For normal mode I decided to play the exact same deck as I used for the easy mode. This is pretty much as it still is a very strong deck, and it can also clear the waves without any problem whatsoever. This once again isn't the most efficient way if you're gonna go for the points, but if you're just looking to unlock the hard mode, this is probably gonna be the way to go. What you're watching right now is me beating normal mode using the exact same deck as I used for easy mode. But this upcoming clip right here is the same deck but using teleport dice, which actually makes things a bit more complicated. The teleport version is the alternative to the other deck that doesn't have it, and should be used if you're looking to get the points at normal mode and not on hard mode. So a quick explanation on how you might want to think a bit differently when playing this version of the deck is pretty much that you might not want to upgrade your lunar dice or soul dice until the later waves. During the early stages you're gonna want to try to get as many high pips as possible and pretty much hope for growth dices. Once you have a high pip dices on the board, you're gonna want to try to get one high pip soul dice on a scope spot and a decently high pip lunar next to it. When you have this, you're gonna want to put all the other pips onto all your teleport dices, but you might not want to have your entire board filled with teleport dices, and instead of that having a few reverse dices on the board as well. This is because you might not always have two teleport dices that have the same pip count, and instead of merging them you might just want to reverse them, but you're not going to want to do this until you reach the golden wave. Another important thing is that once you reach Gold Wave and you're ready to send all your stacked teleports, but instead send one dice at a time, or at max 30 monsters at a time. If you don't do this, you're not gonna clear the stage, and you're probably not gonna be able to claim the max amount of points from the run. Anyways, that is all I got for stage 2, so let's move on to the final and third step, hard mode. So for the third and last difficulty, as well as the third and last deck that I'm going to be showing in this video, I'm going to be playing a deck using Storm, Teleport and Timewinder. Now this deck works quite similarly to the deck that I just showed in stage 2, except we're using Storm instead of Soul, and we also don't have a Lunar. The Lunar has now been switched out for Timewinder, and that is basically because we're gonna wanna farm as many teleport monsters as possible. Using this deck, we're early game going to wanna grow our board into decently high pips. While we're doing this, we're gonna try and send as many monsters as possible using the red button on the left, and gathering as many teleported monsters as possible. This deck should be played on the battlefield Final Colosseum. The reason for this is that the monsters are going to be healing during the later waves, and it's going to be more difficult to kill them, so it helps you to keep the storm level a slight bit lower and use less SP. Sometimes during the run we're gonna wanna merge a Timewinder pair or two and pretty much merge all the teleport dices that we have on the board. Since we're now playing this with Storm, it is going to be a lot easier to attack several monsters all at once, so this will allow us to send a lot of monsters all at once without losing out on anything. Playing this deck is going to cost us a lot of SP, but as long as we send enough monsters, we should be able to afford all of it. During the early build-up waves, the Timewinders don't really matter that much, so you're totally free to just merge them away and hope to get growths instead. Later waves, you might wanna try and keep your Timewinders on the board however, and possibly merge them as soon as the gold wave actually starts. That way you will be able to build up a high point scale, but you're also going to be able to earn a lot of points when the gold wave ends up starting. It's important to not waste too much SP and always afford to be able to spawn 1, 2 or 3 storms. If you don't do this, you will end up barely getting any points whatsoever. As you guys could see, we managed to get 52k points in one run. If you practice this deck and get more and more used to it, you will more and more consistently be able to get these points. There might be a stronger deck out there that is even more efficient, but if you're looking for something simple, this deck should do the trick. Anyways, that is all I got for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll hopefully see you in my next video. Take care, stay safe, and later.